Good morning, Unity. Good morning, Nanaimo. Good morning, world. Thank you for being with us on the World Wide Web, Facebook or YouTube. Please feel free to share at any times, invite your friends to watch a watch party, and make a comment. If you make a comment, we know who's here. You know, this is keeping you connected with us, but we like to be connected with you too. So we acknowledge we are on the traditional and unceded territory of the Nanaimo Nation, and now let's sing.
Different instruments playing our own melodies, each one tuning to a different key, but we are all playing in harmony in one great symphony. We've us together in harmony and love. We've us together, together in love. A moment ago, till we did not know our own diversity. Now the Christ in me greets the Christ. We've us together in harmony and love. We've us together, together in love. You to the world. We are the heart, we are the hand, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are, and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hand, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world.
Thank you, Ken. Would you join with me? And just know the truth of the words we have just sung. We are woven together like one great tapestry, each one of us a thread, creating a common world. All we do, all we are, is a blessing to the world. And so it is. And thank you, James, and thank you, Thomas, for help on the music this morning, and thank you for Kyle and Marty and Leslie, who are at the back doing amazing things today. So we are, again, continuing to improve our technical skills, and so thank you for your patience and your blessing and for being with us. Would you repeat with me our foundation statement? There is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotence. And the vision of Unity Worldwide Ministries is a world powerfully transformed through the growing awareness of shared spiritual awakening. And so announcements this morning. Coming up on this Tuesday, Wendy Carr, who is the licensed Unity teacher rep for Unity Canada, will be teaching a Unity's 5 Basic Principles course. That's Tuesday from 5 till 6:30. You must register in advance at that email address you see, lutrep.unitycanada@gmail.com. And that is a free class. Donations can be made to Unity Canada. And more spirit groups coming up. They are also free. So get in there and sign up now. The first one is Dawn and Margaret's Embrace Your Shadow, Release Your Light has been rescheduled. It now begins February the 11th, and it is Thursdays at 7 p.m. on Zoom, and you can email Dawn the coach at rogers.com for information and to register for that class. And then a brand new one, oh yes, Catherine has started her, her Design Your Life class, but she actually contacted Dr. Kevin Ross, who authored the book and is a crackerjack speaker, and he said, well, I'll come on one of your classes and we'll talk. So you are welcome to join that one class as a guest if you would like to hear, as I say, a crackerjack speaker. So just let Catherine know that, Kathy61@telus.net. And then the next new class beginning, we need to go back, there it is. The Power of Radical Self-Love, that's being presented by Shea Love and Leslie DeShooter. And that, I believe, is based on a book by Shea. No, it's not. Not really? Okay. Anyway, The Power of Radical Love is based on a bunch of books and a bunch of divine wisdom. Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m. on Zoom begins February the 5th. And you can register with either Shea or Leslie, and their email addresses are on the screen. And as always, we have continuing to offer our prayer guides. If you need someone to be with you, to pray with you, to just talk to, please send an email with your phone number, and one of our prayer guides will call you. And this morning, just to diverge a little bit, I would like to extend our condolences to Diane Springford, who was a leading light at Unity for many, many years, on the loss of her husband, Colin. The family is actually now meeting this morning for a private ceremony, and there will be sometime this summer a celebration of life. So maybe stay in touch with Iris Strong if you'd like to hear about when that's happening. Our condolences to you, Diane, and our thanks to you. And as always, every morning from Monday through Saturday, I'm online with a few minutes of just getting centered and grounded to start our day. Please join me. That's on Facebook, Unity Nanaimo Facebook page. And just click on there, and there I should be. And Sunday mornings, Dawn and Margaret carry on the tradition at 10 o'clock with a meditation from 10 till 10:15. Then you can grab a coffee and either refresh your page or just stay on as we bring our service to you. Our daily word this morning is oneness, and the affirmation is, I am divine. Would you repeat that with me, please? I am divine. Over the years, I have learned there is a spark of divinity within me and within all people. This divine spark binds us as members of one family and deepens our awareness of God. Today, my understanding of my divinity expands. My divine nature is so much more than a spark. It is my essence, who I truly am. I realize I don't have to rely on anything outside myself for love, comfort, and guidance. Everything I could ever need from God is already mine and is expressing as me. My realization of oneness extends to all people whom I now see as fellow divine beings. Freed from all illusion of separation, I am aware of the divine presence everywhere, expressing through everyone. We are divine. And from John 17, verse 21, that they may all be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I am in you, may they also be in us. Would you repeat with me our affirmation for our center? Unity Spiritual Center is a growing, unfolding, expanding center of light and love, mighty to attract its good and radiate good to others. Ken.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision, and no one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, James. Oh. Hey, how about that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Hit the little button and different things happen. It's crazy. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, James. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
It's great to be here this morning. It was actually nice to wake up to snow. I know that might sound crazy, but I have 2 teenage daughters in my house that have been wanting snow for the last 4 months, I think. And so waking up to snow this morning at our house was nice for them, and I'm sure if it continues, they'll be in the backyard sledding and living that life of children as they do, where they just make up games as they go along, they just play and experience life as it's unfolding for them. And that brings me to today's talk. Irritation will lead us to understanding. So I'm curious, and maybe let's just take a pause here for a moment. Just take a breath in and close your eyes, and just as I ask you these questions, just think about them for a moment. Can someone upset you? Can someone make you angry? Can someone offend you? You know, oh, I was so offended by that person. Oh my gosh, they offended me. Can somebody actually do that? Do they have that power over us? And it's a good question. And I started to think about this question because I came across a quote from Carl Jung. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Now, it might do that and it might not. It really depends on if we're willing to sit in the question. The question being, why is this irritating me? What is it about this situation? What is it about that person that is irritating me right now? So can you be with that question? Can you look at situations and begin to try to understand them in a different way? Understanding, of course, being one of our 12 powers. And so do we have that ability to understand things? And do we have the ability to change how we understand something, to look at it differently, to perhaps take a pause and see it from a different side, see it from somebody else's point of view? Kind of like putting ourselves in their world. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." So what I'm learning from all of these great minds and what's been passed down in history is the idea that we have a lot of power in how our lives unfold. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say is we have most of the power. Sure, there are circumstances that are outside of our control. There are things that are going to happen. There are ways of being that other people might put on us from their point of view, but we always have the choice of how we respond, how we act, how we perceive it. With understanding, there's 2 sides. There's the intellectual side and there's the spiritual side. The intellectual side is that understanding of sense consciousness And that is the relative world, or so we are taught in Unity in the world of metaphysics, which is the understanding or an attempt to understand being, is that that's the relative world, our sense consciousness. And I was talking to Patricia about this morning a little bit, and we were going back and forth on, well, relatively speaking, I feel this way that I'm feeling, and it's absolutely true for me. So you can play inside the world of relative and absolute. However, I go to the place of, well, gravity is absolute. It is. There's nothing I can do about gravity. However, in the relative world, I can change how I feel about gravity. I can think about gravity in a different way. I can get upset about gravity, for sure, and that's my relative experience. I can have an opinion about gravity that could be very different from yours. And when we go back to when we're babies, think about this when you're playing with a baby. And really what I'm trying to bring up this morning is get us thinking, because this is the stuff that I get stuck on thinking, and I don't have the answers, but I'm willing to be in the question. So go back to when you're playing with a baby and you're playing peekaboo. In that baby's world, mom and dad have absolutely disappeared. Like, their brain really thinks, that you have disappeared, you are gone. And then suddenly, mom and dad come back, and it's like, wow, this is unbelievable. In one moment, they're completely gone, and now they're right back in front of me. However, as that child grows, we begin to get a different understanding of the peekaboo game. And it's not that they've really disappeared. However, in that moment, in their relative mind, they did disappear. And it was absolute. So you see how you can play inside of this world of relative and absolute? And in Unity, the spiritual realm is the absolute. If we go back to our two first principles, God is good and we are inherently good, that in Unity is the world of absolute. That spiritual sense, that going within and finding that truth of who we are, each one of us as an individual. Not being led from the outside world, but actually leading our lives from the inside world out. Paul Hasselbeck wrote in his book on metaphysics, "It is most important to gain a clear understanding of the relationship between the absolute and relative. The relative world, or world of the senses, certainly seems to exist, but it does not exist independently from the absolute realm. It comes into manifestation solely through the formative power of thought. Since the relative world is a product of thought and feeling, it is not ultimate or eternal in nature, even though it may seem so from our human perspective. So my thoughts and feelings are not eternal. They begin and end with me, just as yours do. Your thoughts and feelings are not eternal. They begin and end with you. They're not absolute. They are relative. So we could look at this another way. If we were to think of beauty as an absolute, in divine mind, beauty being absolute, and perhaps a flower is beauty. However, my interpretation of the level of that beauty is going to be different from yours. Just as the color of that flower may be different to me than it is to you. I may see it as blue because my hue of color is different from yours. And if someone is blind, they wouldn't even see the flower at all. And if someone is completely colorblind, they may see it as red. So can you see that there is a conversation here to have about our own opinions and our own perceptions of the world? Along the same lines, Hermann Hesse said, if you hate a person, you hate something in them that is part yourself. What isn't part ourselves doesn't disturb us. So that jammed me up for most of the week, to be honest. So between those two quotes, Carl Jung and Hermann Hesse, I was having quite a week of discussion within my relative mind. And here's what I came away with, trying to put it in terms of my own experience. So when I was in high school, I was bullied. And there was this one guy in particular that just for whatever reason, he had it out for me. And he threatened to gut me one day on the street, and I ran to the nearest home and just ran into their home in absolute fear and terror. There was a couple of guys that challenged me while I was walking home from my friend's house, and I think I was in grade 8 at this time. So, I was 13 years old and pretty much scared out of my pants. And these people phoned my parents, and my dad came and picked me up. However, this went on for a year and a half, that this guy continually hounded me and was after me and bullied me, and I literally had no friends at this point. I went home after school and played my drums, but I walked around our town of Tawasin in fear most of the time. And so I was thinking about that this week. I was trying to put this in context of what is it about him. So what did I see in myself, or what could I see in myself about my perception of his hating me and bullying me? And what I realized was that I actually did that myself to other people. That I actually did bully other people. And sometimes certainly not at the same level he was bullying me, but I did it verbally and physically at times, and I certainly did it a lot in my head. And what I came to the conclusion of was what this guy was showing me was something about myself, something that I was actually a part of. Now, I didn't see it at that point as a 13-year-old. I wasn't seeing it that way. I was seeing it very much that this guy was a jerk, and what I really wanted to do was kick his pants the best I could. However, I was in fear that it was always him and other guys. But I see now how that was an element inside of me. And so how can I overcome those things? Where else in my life can I see where things that aren't of divine goodness, things that are in the world of fear and lack and anger, those things, where are those in my own life that I can let go of? That's really how I see this journey in unity, this conversation that I'm in right now about the relative and the absolute, is if absolute is the divine mind, is the goodness that is inherent, then what can I give up in that relative world to be in that place of absolute? And so this brings me to the 12 powers, understanding and will. And the talk title is Irritation will lead us to understanding. And both of those are located, Charles says, in our front forebrain. And they partner together. So when we begin to understand both the physical world, and we begin to understand the spiritual world, we can now begin to separate those things and see how are we reacting, how are we responding. And it is having the will to do this that requires us, or that will push us forward into continuing along that path. So understanding is that knowing, it's that perceiving, it's that comprehension. That is that beautiful place of understanding. But in the sense world, we can either have too much of it or too little. Too little, underdeveloped understanding looks like ignorance, the inability to perceive and understand. It looks like our inability to comprehend things and to separate the two, that sense consciousness from that spiritual side. And too much understanding leaves us into that know-it-all, egocentric, smart aleck, I have all the answers world. I think I've been there on more than one occasion as well. So, there's work there for me to do in seeing that about myself. that I actually don't have all the answers. Very clear on that now. However, there was a time, I remember, gosh, in my 20s where my dad would let me know that, you think you know it all, huh? And then he would smile. I now know what Dad meant. And if we look at will is also in our front forebrain, and that perfect place of will is our ability to choose, to decide, to command, to lead ourselves. And having the will to understand, having the will to think before acting. It is said that will actually has the power over all of our 12 powers. I guess the other 11 is that it's our willingness to look at them and use them, to choose them, and to have command over them as opposed to just having them exist within us, which they all do. However, are we willingly using them to our advantage? So too little will leaves us indecisive and unmotivated. Too much and we're stubborn and pig-headed. So can you see how will and understanding can begin to actually work together in looking at a question such as, why am I here? What is mine to do in this world? How can I live from a place of love and goodness? These are questions that we can sit with. And that to me is when we're really looking to live in the world of absolute and not in that relative world of responding to life coming at us. Another thing I was reading this week was the Dr. Zelena Montminy. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. She brought up the Matryoshka doll, the Russian dolls. And the idea of when she was a kid, this is a great story. So when she was a kid, she used to play with these Russian dolls, and her family had immigrated over to the US. So she was born in America, but her parents were very Russian. And she suffered a lot of abuse growing up in school, a lot of bullying. And she can remember, she tells this great story of sitting with this doll, and as you open it up, another doll comes out, and then you open that, and another doll, and a smaller doll, and a smaller doll. And she used to be fascinated by them. But it was years later where she had this idea that what she was really learning was that this doll was a representation of all of the different parts of her. That inside this one big doll were all of these little variations of the doll, which was symbolic of her and all of these variations of her and her perceptions. So with that, I would like to take a pause and ask that you stay in that question of what is it of others that irritates? What can we learn about ourselves? Or in this case, what can you learn about yourself when you're being triggered? How can you pause for a moment and think and understand before acting, before being caught up in the emotion of the situation? Because I tell you truly, there's something there for you to see. There's something about yourself that you will discover that will lead you continually forward in this journey of understanding who you are, why you're here, what is yours to do. So join me now, and let's close our eyes for a few moments and share this opportunity to expand our thinking, to open ourselves up to ways of being that are truth for each one of us. Perhaps you can begin by just noticing where you are, noticing the space that you're in. And if your eyes are closed, can you imagine what that space looks like? Can you see it with your inside eyes? Begin to notice your breath. And see if you can bring your breath down to a nice, slow, steady pace. Evening the breath in with the breath out. Asking yourself in this moment, what is there for me to see? What is mine to do? What new understanding is there? And know that if nothing comes up at this moment, that's perfect. The opportunity is to continually be in the question. Because it will change continually. And giving yourself grace in these moments. And just staying with me here a little longer. I now invite you to let go of the question. You've asked yourself the question, now let go of it. And allow your attention to drift down to your heart, bringing your breath into your heart area, feeling your chest rise and fall. And to continue that journey downward into your belly and feeling your belly rise and fall with your breath. And while you're hanging out here, you can say to yourself, I know that my truth will set me free. and bringing a smile to your face. Invite that flow of energy. That energy of will and understanding into our love, our heart space, into our wisdom, our belly, allowing that to flow freely. Beginning to let go of all of this and bring ourselves back. I invite a deep breath into our bellies, letting it go. And one more, nice and deep. Bring in a little more air and let it go. And with that, just let go of all of this. Continuing with your day, feeling blessed and alive. Have a great week. Namaste.
Namaste. Only believe, only believe, all things are possible. Only believe, only believe, only believe, all things are possible. Only believe, only believe, only believe, all things are possible. Only believe, only believe, only believe, all things are possible. Only believe.
Thank you, Thomas. That was an absolutely exceptional talk this morning, relatively speaking.
Absolutely.
But it was excellent. Thank you. And thank you, James, for being with us this morning. Thank you, Ken, and thank you, magicians at the back of the room. And thank you for being with us, for continuing to support us, and to support us not only by following us, giving us your time, and taking lessons from this and living them into the world. And also, of course, we thank you for your continued financial support, which you can find a way to do, whether it's an e-transfer to donations at unitynanaimo.org, or talking to Cindy about setting up an automatic transfer with your bank, or, you know, somebody drives around here every once in a while and drops off a packet of cash at the door. You know, we find the way, and we thank you. All right. So today, repeat with me, if you will, our abundance affirmation. Today, I expect every good thing to come to me, for I know that divine abundance is forever manifesting itself in my affairs. And as we meditate on our abundance, Ken will leave us in an abundance type song.
over the mountain, I send my joy. Over the sea, I send my joy. Into the heaven, and it returns to me. I send my peace over the mountain. I send my peace over the sea. I send my love into the heaven, and it returns to me.
Once again, thank you for everyone who participated this morning, and thank you for everyone who joined in. Please let your friends know about Unity. We don't have to restrict ourselves to Nanaimo anymore. Your friends all over the world are more than entirely welcome. So let's stand and do our, well, you can sit if you like, our prayer for protection and our peace song. So the light that is God surrounds me. I am one with the light. The love that is God enfolds me. I am one with the love. The power that is God protects me. I am one with the power. The presence that is God watches over me. I am one with the presence. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well, and so it is. Amen.